Okay, what's up, sophomores? Just made my senior video, and I'm gonna try to get this sophomore video out, and I'm gonna try to get the Amy Wong out. So this is the Sullivan, and then I'm gonna try to get the Amy Wong out actually sometime tomorrow. But then there are a bunch of things going on with like the counseling thing and filling out things and trying to like get the grade up and all these other good things. With Jupiter grades, don't stress out too much. Let's say the first official date for like dealing with Jupiter is actually on Friday. So just trying to get material out. We have these advisory things, which I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of. I'd spent a good amount of time doing counseling work this week, and so this is a crazy time for everybody. So as long as you are participating, you're putting in your best foot forward, you're in a good place, right? So there should be a little bit, be responsible, but don't freak out. Okay? Yeah, I guess that's the thing here. Okay, so I just want to go through this really quick. First, I want to go through some of the instructions because, again, there are a lot of questions in terms of just how to navigate Google Classroom. This is what it looks like from my view. All right. So again, I have these three sophomore classes to show you. And I purposely made everybody's class like a different color. So, fifth period, you guys are blue. Sixth period, you guys are purple or mauve or lavender or whatever that is. And ninth period, you guys are green. Okay. Now, again, we go in terms of classwork. It's a situation where now a lot of people are asking me about the parts of speech thing. The parts of speech thing has been nixed. Later on, if we're not coming back on the 20th, I definitely will be. I'm sort of searching for some sort of good online, like vocabulary and grammar program for you guys. A lot of them don't exist, so I might actually have to sort of design my own. But even doing that, with everything else that's going on right now, is going to take, it's going to take a good amount of time to actually roll out. Okay. So part of speech, don't worry about right now. So for the most part, your grade is based pretty much solely off of the interpretations as well as the paragraphs that you're forming from this. All right. So that pretty much means that the grades for these are weighted a little bit heavier. So you want to make sure that they get done, and you want to make sure that they get done well. Now, some people are asking about like how to change the word form, right? You're not writing on this, right? And some people were even like underlining some of their responses. You don't need to underline the responses because number one of the things I was expecting you to do is to be able to take that information and copy it, paste to your paragraphs later on, right? So forethought. So if you're on, and I also need to be able to opening this up to revisions as well, which we're doing in Google Comments. So with a PDF, I can't actually like toggle on this and give a comment, right? So I know like some of you like somehow figured out how to sort of augment this document. Guess what? Basically what you did was you pretty much robbed yourself of the ability to increase your grade. Okay? So you want to make sure that you're following the instructions. Now, this is the document that you use. When you go in, you put your cursor here and you can start typing, right? when I feel like I want to, comment on that, I can just hit that little button, and prior to giving you a grade, well, I'm going to give you a grade, but then I will sit there and say revise, right? So there are people who actually have increased their grades because of the fact that I'm able to comment, and then they hit resubmit, right? Those of you who did not do that, I can't do that, right? So you want to make sure that you're writing in this, you're not underlining it so that you can copy and paste it to paragraph later on this week. And following the instruction, okay? All right. Now, let's go through and there are other reasons why this needs to be this way as well, but that has to do with conversations between myself and the principal, and that's like not really a concern. So just make sure that it's on this form, like, please, okay? All right, so let's go back. All right, so we have 20 minutes left. So this video will also be linked to this. I see some people have already started turning in the Sullivan. That's a really good thing. And also, I get to see your history on these. You're also going to get a participation grade, and I'll talk about that later on if we have time. But for the most part, if you have a history as well, so I get to see, like, you know, when you're turning things in, all these other things, that goes into, so you'll see in Jupiter Ed, there's like these participation grades, online completion grade things. That goes for, you know, turning things in early. That goes for if I comment to you and you're implementing those comments into a revision, and you get a credit for that. So that's kind of in lieu of a parts of speech thing, okay? All right, so let's go through this, and unfortunately, quickly. Again, like, I'm trying to make these videos as short as possible. All right, so it says the vacancies persist because employers can't find people with the skills they need at the rate they're willing to pay, okay? So the verb is persist. So the first verb is persist. Then what persists? The vacancies, right? So persist. So another word for persist is to keep going or to keep happening. Okay. And vacancies is or empty space. Okay. I think it's better if I just go through the verbs and then I'll come back with the vocabulary. Right, but persist basically means to keep going. So vacancies persist. Vacancies is the thing that's persisting because employers can't find, right? So can't find is the verb there, right? And it's so vacancies is the subject, persist is the verb, employers is the subject, and can't find is the verb. People with the skills they need. So need is the verb. And then they is the subject. So employers, the people with the skills they need. Now, who is they? They is a pronoun, meaning that they has to go back to who? The employers, all right? So keep that in mind. At the rate they're willing to pay, right? So and that apostrophe RE is like a verb. So willing to pay, or are willing to pay, right? So who is willing to pay? They. Now, at a rate is a prepositional phrase that is giving you more information, right? So it's giving you more information about what they need, right? And by rate, they mean amount, okay? All right, so next sentence. So there's four verbs there. So that basically means that in that sentence, there are four ideas, right? And again, there shouldn't be any copy and pasting going on here. I think that's one of the reasons why people wanted to have access to this, so they can just sort of like, and again, if I'm reading the same thing there as I'm reading here, which I commented to one person on, then it's one in terms of, and again, going through these and again, quickly, okay? Because I'm already backlogged. So about 40 years ago, only 1 in 4 jobs required. So required is the verb here. More than a high school education, right? But now 2 in 3 jobs require. Require is the verb here. More training. So there's 2 verbs there, right? About 40 years ago, only 1 in 4 jobs required, right? So 1 job, right? Required. Now, 2 in 3 jobs require, right? And notice that require is the same verb, but there's a relationship going on around this comma, right? So part of the interpretation of this sentence is looking at that relationship, right? And what kind of relationship does that conjunction actually show? Okay. And keep in mind what is being said in terms of about 40 years ago, right? Versus what now? Okay. Next sentence. Workers, take a look, about 15 minutes. Okay, so workers now really need to think of learning as a lifelong task, right? So workers really need to think, right? Really need to think is the verb there. And who really needs to think? Workers. Right? And then the rest of the predicate, which is what the verb starts with, which in this particular case is giving you of learning as a prepositional phrase and as a lifelong task as a prepositional phrase, is giving you more information about what they need to think about. Working in a factory requires. So requires is the verb there. And then what requires? Working. Right? In a factory is a prepositional phrase. And again, prepositional phrases prepositions tell you where, right? And the prepositional phrase gives you exact information about where. Okay? Requires, and then the rest of the sentence is giving you, requires a different kind of skill than it used to. The same is true in agriculture. So is, right? And the same is the subject of is, right? The same is true in agriculture. So in the factory, and the same is true in agriculture. So a different kind of skill than it used to. Okay. Next, a farm that used to have So let's finish reading the sentence first. A farm that used to have a couple hundred people working in the field now employs 2 people, comma, operating all technical machines, right? So used to have, let's get our cursor here. And I'm really impressed because this computer is acting, and I knock on marble. So this computer is acting really well right now. Has not been all weekend. So a farm that used to have, right? So what used to have? The farm. So farm used to have a couple hundred people working is the verb there. And who was working? The people. Right? Couple hundred being adjectives describing people, right? In the field again, giving you a prepositional phrase of where they were working. Now employs 2 people, right? So again, at this point, and there's no comma here, right? But it almost should be. So let's highlight that, right? So that used to have a couple hundred people working in the field now has, right? So used to have and then now has. That now, right, in the field now employs. Right? So who employs? This is going, what's the subject of this, right? Are the people that are working the subject, or is the farm the subject? It's one or the other, okay? So either the farm employs or the people that are working in the field are doing the employing. Employing, basically giving a job to, right? Now employs 2 people, okay? And then operating all the technical machines. So operating being a verb there. So operating being the verb there. Now who's operating, right? Is the farm operating or are the people operating? Like these 2 people now employs 2 people operating all the technical machines. In this particular case, it would be these people. Okay. All right. Okay, so one of the things that you're definitely going to have to do with this, and as I see is the tricky thing, is looking at this relationship between this sort of 40 years ago and now situation. Okay. And then as always, you're looking at how this relates to labor and class, how this relates to education. Okay. In the inference, okay. We're going to be putting this together with the Wong later on. So actually writing the paragraph should at this point be easier, right? For those people who got, like, say, for example, a 1 for the evidence grade, well, yeah, it's because of the fact that you didn't take the extra 10, seconds, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes to actually, like, it's not even 10 minutes to, like, copy and paste the information from one to the other. If you did it on the PDF, definitely much harder to do. Okay. Hopefully this clarifies the actual reading. As always, there's going to be one of these with every single one. Sometimes it'll be way prior to that. So hopefully I can get the video out tomorrow, but right now I have some counseling work to do. but definitely will at least be the day before the interpretation is due. All right, so I hope you're healthy. I hope your family and your loved ones are healthy. And if you haven't signed up for the counseling sessions, then make sure that you do so. I know for myself, I have like a homeroom thing going on here. I'm also giving credit, so one of those online credits is those people who like showing up. And take care. All right, bye.